It's Monday, which can only mean it's time for Scotty and Motty live. There's not really been a lot to celebrate as Manchester United fans this season. Very, very little. And it'd be pathetic of us to celebrate a 2-2 draw against Liverpool at home. But pathetic we are, because I laughed my ass off yesterday and I've been laughing ever since. If you're laughing too and you want to get involved in the show, make sure you're subscribing and liking. That was the greatest draw of all time, I thought.
The greatest draw of all time. Love that. Maybe. I mean, the problem was, when you get a draw, you want to score the last goal in it. That's what makes a draw great.
All right, okay.
If you're the last team to score.
Yeah.
And that was the annoying thing. Because at half-time, bro, if you'd have said to me, United are going to finish this game 2-2, I'd have bit your hand off, right? Because that first half was one of the worst first halves of anything ever.
0 shots.
Not even football, just anything in history.
The worst 45 minutes.
The worst 45 minutes in human history. And I was at the game and was sort of chatting out time, and it felt very much like the FA Cup game in the sense of our time. You're like, oh God. But the FA Cup game was slightly different in that we took the lead and then they took.
It was reversed in some ways, wasn't it?
And whereas in the half-time, we'd had no shots, and then because obviously now we're living the world where you can go on the Wi-Fi at Old Trafford, it's like everyone's got the stats, no shots. They've had 14, 4 on target, 10 off target, obviously. We've had RXG is 0.00. Theirs is 2 or whatever it was, or 1.42 or whatever. And you're like, yeah, that is horrendous. That can't carry on. And if it does, we're going to get hammered because they're not just going to keep missing chances. And then second half, bless him, old Terrell Kwanzaa, is it? I forget his first name. Just decided, I'm going to spice this game up a bit.
Yeah, I'm bored of it.
Yeah.
How can I make them lot up front do something?
Yeah.
I'll give the ball away.
I'm not saying, check his bank out or anything like that, but he had a little bit of an acca on both teams to score in the second half, and he thought, I need to, can't rely on these United lot, they're not going to do it. So here you go, Bruno. Hang on a minute, Keller's off his line. Here you go, Bruno.
Yeah.
Fill your bit. So credit to Bruno, though. People say, oh, he should score. It wasn't the easiest to finish. I think he still had a long way to go to score and get it over the keeper.
Like 40 yards to go.
40 yards, yeah. Get it over the keeper and make sure he wasn't saved. That's one of those where if he shoots and the keeper saves it or tips it over or it's the bar or whatever, you go, oh, lucky. But he didn't. He scored, and we needed that because it sort of made their heads drop a little bit. Our tails were up. We weren't great. We were better than we'd been in the first half.
The bar was so low in the first half that I think that made the second half look a lot better than it actually was.
But Kobbie Mainoo, who we were talking about this on the Paddock podcast, wasn't having his best game. And the thing with Scotty Mainoo is he cannot be having his best game and still be one of the best players on the pitch, which is what was happening in the sense that he looks a little bit leggy, I felt, and he wasn't helped by the fact that he was almost on his own against 3 Liverpool midfielders for half the game, which is just
the strange. Casemiro was kept on and not Scotty Mainoo, because I thought Mainoo had a better second half, obviously goal as well, but there was a lot there. But I mean, all things considered, with the lack of shots or the 0 shots in the first half, and I agree it would have been better if we got the equaliser that secured the point. But the greater context of it, the outpouring afterwards, where
I know you. I know you want me for just quickly though. The great players produce moments of magic.
Yes.
Even when they're not having their best game or their team's not having their best game, especially. Mainoo's moment of magic was, for me, one of the best feelings I've had at Old Trafford in recent memory. When that went in the back of the net, I lost it big time and lost it for a good 5 minutes afterwards just thinking about it. It was so good. And it's so great to see a player like that scoring for your club.
Yeah.
Because he's just got everything out of the kid.
He really has. And I seen a tweet today, I don't know if it's Trevor Paddock that put it out, but Nemanja Vidic saying that he's very similar to Modric. Do you know what I mean? In his style of play.
Yeah.
I think
that's
it
a good
really
shout,
is.
isn't it? Because he's got like that ability to buy himself time on the ball that the great players have.
He's surrounded by players, but looks like he's got all the time. Scholes was like that as well, didn't he?
Great. I've always compared him to Scholes. That's a great point.
He has a lot of the players around him. Like, well, how are you making all these moves and finding this space? But that again, that's another attribute to the greats of all time that can do that.
Doesn't always go for the easy option, does it? Like we saw for England. I think that's when the England fans sat up and actually realised that it wasn't just United fans chatting nonsense. This kid is a real deal. Where against Belgium, where he receives the ball and instead of just keeping it, he goes past, makes a little run and gets England on the way for that penalty. So yeah, really impressed with him. Great, he got his goal. It's a bit annoying though that we can't hold on to a lead.
Annoying, but not surprising.
For the third game in succession. At least this one wasn't the 99th minute, and we didn't lose. But yeah, you're right. I think that was the only reason I wasn't as gutted. Is I saw it coming, and I remember thinking, a part of me, the reason I was so buzzing with Mainoo's goal for all the greatness of it and how good it was and the feeling it gave me was I was thinking, right, there's a good chance we can at least draw this now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
We're 2-1 and we can cling on it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Not for the win.
How far we done fell.
It's true, bro. It is. It's horrible thinking like that. But I was thinking like we could see this game out and like they'll probably get another goal, but will they get two? Probably not. So like, there's a good chance we can draw, and I know that is proper two-bit, but that's how I felt, and there's a reason for that. It's because United defensively all over the gaff, and it was a little bit annoying the way we conceded that penalty as well because it was so unnecessary.
Yeah. Did you think it was a penalty?
If I'm being honest, it's one of those where if I'm a Liverpool fan, I'd expect that. If that was against United, I'd expect a penalty. But I still don't think, if you're going to go to the letter of the law, I don't think it is a penalty. I think Wan-Bissaka shouldn't have done what he did. Yeah. He shouldn't have gone to ground. It was proper stupid to do that. Harvey Elliott's going nowhere. He's running
away from the ball.
He's running away into a load of red shirts. So I think once you go to ground the way he did, clumsily as well, you doomed. Like, he didn't even argue. And even like Mainoo and Casemiro stood around him and like, God's sake. Well, not Mainoo, sorry. Was it Mainoo? I can't remember who it was. It was Mainoo or someone else who was in front of him. Sorry, it might have been Kumbala or someone else. But I think if you watch it back on VI, it does look like he just runs into him. It looks like Elliott buys it. I mean, he's right to buy it. I'd have done that. Do you know what I mean? Like
everybody would have done that.
Council house owner in the 80s. He's right to buy it. But I thought it was soft. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
It's like the Delot one. Like, again, is that really a penalty? I'm not so sure it is. But again, I know you can always fell over or whatever, but you let him get goal signed and then you fall over.
Yeah. It's concentration levels.
Asking for trouble.
And after the Chelsea game, I put it out saying that, not saying that Delot's mistake was on Ten Hag, but the fact that I've not got the statistics up, but how many leads we've lost this season and the sort of a calibre opponents we've sort of lost leads to. At some point, you have to say, well, what are you actually doing in Carrington? Because if it happens once or twice, then I think that the manager should say, listen, it gets to 80 minutes, keep the ball, don't make any silly mistakes. And I know you're not going to get all your instructions to your players, but it's happening time and time and time again. The concentration levels, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Some comments, keep the comments coming and hit that like button as well. Foundation Manchester says, how was that a penalty? So soft. I agree, it was soft. I think the issue you've got is you know what's given nowadays, especially against Manchester United. Bradley Heacock says, Jay, I was running around my house after that goal. Yes, don't blame you. Greg G, here's one for you, Heath. Says, Mainoo will be what Pogba should have been. We should do a video on that. Evening Jay, evening David, says James Parker. Someone else, sorry, I forgot your comment, said the keeper would have been sent off if he'd saved it. Yeah, if he saved it with his hands, I think he was out of his box, you're right, he would have been sent off. But if he'd have hit, any sort of, if he'd have hit the keeper, he'd probably go, oh, unlucky or whatever, but it was a good finish. Mick Holohan says, was falling over before Aaron Wan-Bissaka makes contact. I thought, but in this modern day, it gets given. Gavin Allen says, do we risk run the risk even of burning out Mainoo physically, and with the pressure we are putting him on? Hashtag Erik Ten Hag. I know, but come on, man. We're going to be getting to that in a minute. But first of all, on Stretford Paddock, we've got sponsors, and also on Scotty and Motty, we've got sponsors. Yeah, because we're in the big leagues now. And here's a message from our sponsor. If you're watching from outside the UK, whether you live abroad or you might be away on your holes, United matches are often subject to regional broadcasting rights, meaning that certain games may only be available to viewers in specific countries. Surfshark VPN allows users to connect to servers in different countries, effectively bypassing these geo restrictions. This means you can access streaming platforms or channels broadcasting soccer matches from anywhere in the world, making sure you never have to miss the action. You don't want to miss any of those big games. Surfshark VPN provides users with access to servers in numerous countries. This means that United fans can easily switch their virtual locations to countries where matches are freely available or where broadcasting rights are less restricted. This opens a wider range of channels to watch United games live. Surfshark VPN also encrypts your internet connection, ensuring that your online activities, including streaming soccer matches, remain private and secure. This is very useful if you're accessing streaming sites from public Wi-Fi networks where security risks may be higher. By connecting to optimized servers provided by Surfshark VPN, users may experience faster streaming speeds and reduced buffering. So you're not waiting ages to find out if that last-minute winner actually was a goal. You're not waiting for the VAR decision for even longer. Overall, Surfshark VPN offers United fans the flexibility, security and accessibility they need to watch the Reds from anywhere in the world, making it the best choice for streaming content. Use the code SAM24, that's Scotty and Motty 24, SAM24 for 3 months free. There's a link in the description and as the pinned comment. Big thank you to Surfshark sponsoring this podcast, as always. Scotty, loads of people in the comments, right? Now, you've been pretty consistent with your thoughts on Erik ten Hag.
Yep.
All season, you think United have been underperforming. The tactics don't look barely existent.
Yep.
The performances aren't anywhere near good enough, and the results are shambolic.
Yep, that's pretty much what I think.
And now, I know that the last week hasn't have changed your mind since we last spoke.
Well,
because losing to
you'd be surprised.
Chelsea, yeah, I'd be very surprised. And drawing at home to Liverpool isn't going to make someone who doesn't back Erik ten Hag back him. So I'm not going to labour the point of you know, I know the reasons you don't want him at the club anymore, and I get it. I completely understand. The question is, and I think I've asked you this before, but now we are looking at only possibly the FA Cup saving him, aren't we? Because we're not going to get top 5, are we?
No, we're not getting top 5 at all. I think we'll probably finish about 8th, really, looking at our fixtures and the points of people around us. But just to go back to what you said there, I have been consistent in terms of my feelings towards the football that's been produced under Ten Hag this season, because we were expected to, I don't know, the impression I got, and I think a lot of Man United fans, we were going to get this identikit version of what Ajax were playing, you know, at Old Trafford.
Well, I thought that.
I think that's what I mean. I think, and I don't think I'm doing any disservice to say that I wanted that when we signed him, and it's not been reproduced. Funnily enough, though, I've had. Maybe it's just because I was buzzing so much after seeing Jurgen Klopp rave at the side of a pitch with his big teeth. I was like looking at the games and the performances against Chelsea. Okay, we lost the performance against Liverpool. Okay, we didn't get any shots in the first half. Brentford to a lesser extent. I wonder, and this is really, really me grasping at any straws to try and give Ten Hag some credit, if there's any method to what looks like absolute madness or chaos football, pinball football, I think. Because Liverpool against United have had 90 shots over 3 games. Yeah. And they've scored 4 goals.
Yeah, 3 and 5. 5 goals.
5 goals.
3 and 2.
Right, okay. So 90 shots. So they're averaging a shot every 3 minutes against United. Okay. And they've only scored 5 goals. So that's not really bad going, given the ratio. Yeah. And I think if we got our stuff together up front, we've looked great on the press. We've produced some of the best football I've seen under Ten Hag in games. You know, what was it again? Liverpool as well in the FA Cup. Yeah, like it was shambolic, but it was like almost like an inverted press. Like, yeah, you come on to us.
I mean, that like almost like counter-attacking football. Would you?
I think so.
I think when you look at the sort of the goal against the winner against Liverpool, the goal, Garnacho's header against Chelsea.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that was
it's counter-attacking football. But what I'm saying to you is, there's been more identity in that Liverpool game, in the second half yesterday, and in the Chelsea game. More identity to Manchester United, this swashbuckling cavalier football that we all want and crave as Manchester United fans, than there has been under any sort of game. So I'm just wondering if there is any sort of, because he came out and said in his press, I'm not bothered about how many shots we have against us as long as we win the game.
Yeah.
If we win that game against Chelsea, we're like, wow, it's an amazing performance. I'm really clutching here, but I'm just saying that if there's an identity of football under Ten Hag, I've only seen it in his last 3 games.
The irony is, I think we tried that. If you were to sort of look at Ollie's success,
it's very similar to Solskjaer, but I don't think it's sustainable.
No, and the argument there was what you just made. It wasn't sustainable, and also you're gonna have teams that you're not just gonna be counter-attacking, or you shouldn't be counter-attacking at home against Luton.
No,
people are gonna be like, "What are you on about?" Like
that was Solskjaer's undoing because
the game to them.
Yeah, Solskjaer's
just waiting for them to come at you and hit them on a break or whatever. So yeah, I see your point. And I get you're massively playing devil's advocate because there's not one part of you that honestly believes that.
Not at all.
No. So that's fair enough. And I
tried, man.
I say this every week, and I'm sick of saying it, but it is. I find it more difficult to defend a lot of what I'm watching. I'm finding it very difficult. The Brentford game was an abomination. It was terrible. How we even got a draw out of that is a miracle. How we were winning at one point with 2 minutes to go is, I'll never understand football because I just don't get that one. The Chelsea game, people never, ever, ever want to talk about luck. And there is a little bit of unluckiness there.
Oh my God, the luck in Chelsea and Liverpool game as well.
There is elements of bad luck there, and that can happen. And sometimes when things are going well for you, your luck's in. But to be honest with you, you've still got to look at the facts on the piece of paper that say Chelsea scored 4 goals against you and Chelsea are not that great.
The bad luck, though, as well. We got good luck to get back into that game, the same way we did in the Liverpool game.
I think as well, I just can't see, like, at the minute, we'll say at the minute, we're almost near the end of the season, like, when you see something, you think it works, and then it changes for the next game.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, what exactly are we doing here? That's the issue I've got. Over 100 people watching, by the way. Please, please, please hit that like button. It really helps us. If you're not doing already, hit the subscribe button as well. So get in some of the comments and let us know what you guys think. I'm interested in your thoughts. Boxing Straight Talk says, well done, Scotty, for not being delusional. He also says Scotty is the only one of the influencers that actually speaks sense. He's never an influencer. He's a poet. Eddie Griffin says, hey guys. Gavin Allen says, not sure where I heard it, but I do wonder sadly if Erik Ten Hag isn't going to be the last victim of the Glazers' full ownership. Glenn F says he is staying. Ed says facts are Erik Ten Hag ain't got the cojones to play with the style. Raf22 says, hello Jay, I'm afraid the same old garbage structure was bailed out by individual brilliance. Exactly what Ollie was accused of. Yep. Lee News says, have I been on the sniff or is Jay in 2 places at once? That was that. The advert, I think that's in reference to, or maybe you have been on the sniff. Jace Parker says, I'd keep Erik till at least Christmas. Listen, I said it on the... It's funny how what a difference 2 weeks can make in football, innit? Because I was on the overlap and I said, I want to see him being given a chance under this new regime. And at the time, it was just after the Liverpool game. I think a lot of United fans were like, fair enough, like, you know what I mean? I get that. Whereas now it's like, are you insane? We've just had 3 disappointing results, really, on the spin. 2 pretty devastating ones in terms of the way the game's ended, and at least 1.5 poor performances, if not a bit more. So I get why people who even were sort of pro Ten Hag or backing Ten Hag are now going, actually, I'm not so sure. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think the only salvation for this manager now, I mean, at one point I was saying Champions League football and FA Cup, that's not going to happen. I think the only salvation is the FA Cup. But I think if he does win the FA Cup, and it's a big if, and if I'm being brutally honest, I don't think we will. I think it's City's to lose, and it's going to be painful if we get beat off City twice in 2 finals, but that's where it's looking. I think if he does win it, I think he deserves another season. I do.
I'd consider that to change my mind if we won the FA Cup. And beat Man City in the final. I think that would be some statement.
You contextualise it. You have to contextualise it. And I think if you can say you're Erik Ten Hag, right, and you're having your interview with Ineos, And they go, let's step in the office.
Performance review.
Performance review. Yeah. That's the one I was looking for. Thank you, my brother. So they say, step in the office. Let's do your one-to-one. So, how do you think you got on this season, Erik? So first of all, you bring your FA Cup in with you.
Yeah.
Yeah? And you put that down and then say, sorry, what was that? I couldn't say the light bouncing off the FA Cup that I've just won. What was that? How do you think you've got on? You say, what? I'm the first United manager since Fergie in 2009 to win back-to-back trophies in 2 years. Wow. I didn't realise. Oh, sorry, what was that? Was the question? And you think, all right, okay, we get it. There's an argument there that you have had success in terms of back-to-back trophy wins. There'll be the fans, everyone will be riding on a high because we've just won a trophy and it's a big trophy as well. I love the FA Cup. You've probably beaten City in the final. Even if you've beaten Chelsea, it's still a buzzer. It's still a good thing. Does that get you out of jail for when they go, right, great, just move the FA Cup to one side. I'm looking for us on the table. I'm looking for us. I'm looking for us. I'm looking for us. I'm looking for us. I've found us.
-1 goals. Yeah. What's
does that get you out of jail? From a fan, for me it does. For Ineos, I know you're not, you haven't got a crystal ball, but do you think for Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Dave Brailsford and Omar Barada, who's just left the club that were winning trebles, is he going to go, yeah, you're all right because you've won as an FA Cup?
Surely they've already considered that there is the possibility, as much as we don't think it will happen that he beat Man City, that they will be looking at the variables and saying, right, well, if he does do it, do we keep him? I think they'll make the decision before the game anyway, but I think if he wins the FA Cup, then I think it's harder for him to sack because they will have that sort of fan.
We could be the first club, I think, in history, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I often am, to sack 2 managers
that have won the FA Cup.
Just won the FA Cup. Literally the day they've won it. Like, managers get sacked afterwards, but usually months afterwards, not the same weekend. Like, that could happen. And so we've done that twice in 8 years. He's ridiculous, but that is genuinely what can happen at United. If Ineos are going, he's not our guy. There was talk of them planning for pre-season with him, but again, that can change.
Yeah, I just think that as time goes on and the games become less and less in the Premier League, that I don't think he's helping himself and his opportunities to make statements. Every time we sort of look like we're turning the corner, it's always free. Beginning of the season, it was 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Now it's 1 step forward and 3 steps back.
Oh, do you know what? Lee News made a great point. We could have been the first managers to do it 3 times because Tommy Dockett, I think it happened to him, didn't it?
Right,
for different reasons. He got sacked, I think, the week after he won the FA Cup.
So nobody should be surprised. And
this is what we do
it happens.
at Manchester United.
My issue is when you get these people that are online. Sorry, I know people are watching online, but on social media. I'm not calling you.
I hate them people online. They do my head in.
Yeah. When you're on Twitter or whatever arguing, and you make a point about Ten Hag, and you put the context as to why you don't think he's good enough for the job because of X, Y, and Z, and you've got the evidence, and then they clap back and go like, yeah, well, Fergie was rubbish in his second season, but that doesn't make a difference.
There's certain things.
Arteta was crap in his second season. Klopp was. That's not an excuse to keep a manager just because somebody else. Just let me continue.
Go on.
And then they'll go like that. Oh well, we can't sack him because we can't just keep sacking managers. Like, well, yes, you can. And just because you have the theory that we can't sack managers, again, that's not evidence to keep the manager.
No,
show me the evidence.
I agree with that point, and I think people say you can't keep sacking managers. If they're the wrong ones, you can.
You have to.
Like post Busby.
Yeah.
Other than Dockett, who went for different reasons. Like, we were right to get rid of those managers.
Yeah.
Like, there was no way you say, well, we should have kept one of them or kept them all.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got a manager who isn't capable of delivering success and doesn't look like he's going to deliver success, then simply sticking with him because you don't want to keep sacking managers is nonsense. So I'm with you on that one. I also get the flawed thinking in the Arteta argument because, again, every manager is different, every club is different, every scenario is different. We don't know what is going on behind the scenes at Manchester United compared to what was going on behind the scenes at Arsenal. The Arsenal board obviously had a lot of faith in what Arteta was doing. And it sounded to me, with Arteta, he was the first manager they had post-Wenger who felt like he was changing the club for the right reasons. He was doing the things behind closed doors, behind the scenes that needed to be done. Moving on some of the big-name players that had to be moved on, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang being the obvious one. Bringing through some younger players, just sort of trying to sort of get his identity into that team, and it took him a long time, but they obviously felt confident that he was doing it. With Erik Ten Hag, the issue he's got is, one plus point you've always got when you're appointed in any job is the people that appointed you had faith in you. That's why they appointed you. They saw something in you they liked, they wanted you.
And they look like idiots if it doesn't work out.
Yeah. The people that are in charge now didn't appoint him.
No.
It's like we've seen it with managers. Jose Mourinho, when he took over from Louis van Gaal, he didn't want Bastian Schweinsteiger. I didn't rate, I think, was it Schneiderlin and Memphis Depay, didn't get a look in. They weren't his players, he didn't want them. Same with Oli when he came in, he wasn't really feeling Romelu Lukaku. I know he kept him for a little while before he moved him on. Or Alexis Sanchez. They were the previous managers' signings that they wanted, not the new one. And there might be an element of that with Ineos. They might have gone, well, Erik ten Hag isn't our guy, and he was never our guy. And if we're being honest, if we'd have been in charge in 2021 or 22, whenever it was, we wouldn't have appointed him. Like, there's no sort of guarantee that they ever rated him.
Yeah. I think the problem as well is if they do keep him for another season, you're making points there about managers inheriting the previous lot's signings. If Ten Hag gets another summer and he's a failure and we sack him in December, that means the following guy has got a harder job to dismantle than he would this summer. Because I don't think, and the evidence doesn't show on the football field, that there's too much of Ten Hag's fingerprints on that squad. Do you know what I mean? Like if he brings 3 more players of his in and then they get a different type of manager, then it's harder to do that.
Yeah. No, it's really difficult because it's sad because I feel like there's some positives this season. Some of the younger players you can look at and go, you know what? So we can buy this. They came in, did really well. You think if we got our act together in terms of the structure, we've got some good young players.
That's what I mean. Is that like we've got great youth. I mean, I know Højlund was a Ten Hag signing, but I'm going to suggest that might have been a signing that was made upstairs. If you got the Højlund, Mainu, is it Kwambala?
Willie Kwambala,
yeah. Onana, Garnacho. There's a hell of a lot of youth there, and then invest around that with a new manager. Then I think that it's a great sounding board to build on. But as it stands, I think we go into next season with a lot more question marks and positivity if Ten Hag continues.
No, I agree with all that. I'm just going to run through some comments before we wrap up. Wes says, I think Erik deserves to see out the end of his contract, evaluate him, and then go from there. Ed says, Fergie finished second in his first full season, by the way. People always forget that. That probably bought him time till the FA Cup run. We know that the club behind the scenes as well was an absolute shambles. It was like the drinking culture had ran rife. Jonathan Rahaman says, what if he brings in 3 more players and it clicks? Liam Cohen says, give Willie a chance until the end of the season. Willie, Kwambala. By Dom says, talking about Ajax, our youth squads are smashing it. How far from glory are we? We need a bigger, better squad, but that may take a few seasons. Listen, big thank you to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. It's been a really good debate. I think me and Scotty, we want the same thing. It's just we differ on where the best way to go about it is. And if anything, I hate to say this, he's winning the argument at the minute because I feel like Erik ten Hag
clip that up
isn't really doing himself any favours, but as Dido sang, I will go down with his ship. I'm still Erik ten Hag.
Oh, he's quoting Dido. Right, I've been Scotty, that's been Motty. Make sure you're subscribing, liking, and we shall see you very soon.